Welcome to Sinful's Horror Stories. Sit back, relax, stay sinful. Story number 1. My name is Kenny and I'm 32 years old, and this story happened around 2 years ago. I'd been single for about 3 years, so I thought it was time I got into the dating scene. I spent time looking through Match.com, eHarmony, and a few other dating websites. I actually came across a prison dating site. You could find male or female inmates that are looking for a relationship. Kind of like a pen pal at first. I matched with a girl named Layla, who was 26 years old, and serving a 5-year prison sentence for a few DUIs, and some parole violations. Honestly, I didn't think anything would come from it, but she matched me back along with a message about herself, and we had a lot in common. Fast forward about 7 months of letters, talking on the phone, and a few visits. She would be getting released. The thing was, she didn't have any family or friends and nowhere to stay. It was a bit sudden, but I said she could move in with me and she accepted. The first week of her staying with me went fine. However, on a night I kept noticing she would get out of bed and not return for quite a few hours, sometimes not at all. It didn't wake me up fully, but it was definitely enough to notice she was moving around. I tried to talk to Layla about it and asked if she had trouble sleeping or sleepwalked, anything like that. She would always say no and brush it aside. This carried on for another week, till I decided to look up online about sleepwalking and that kind of thing. I read one article to set up a camera to see what happens in the night and what is causing them to wake up. I thought it was worth a try and set up my laptop to record footage as we slept. I didn't tell Layla about this because she got defensive and kind of aggressive every time I mentioned it. As usual, I heard Layla get up in the night. The next morning while she was downstairs, I looked at the footage. I saw her get up, walk around the bedroom aimlessly. This went on for about 3 nights, until the 4th night when she sat up in bed and turned and looked at me. This isn't creepy. The creepy thing was she stared at me straight for an hour and 35 minutes. I was creeped out but not yet alarmed. The next few nights were the same. Layla would wake up and just stare at me for long periods of time. One night, however, scared the hell out of me. I saw Layla walk downstairs after waking up, which is the first time she had done that, but when she came back she was holding a large kitchen knife. My blood ran cold while watching this. She then walked beside the bed and stood next to me and held the knife close to my face. After standing there for almost 2 hours, she placed the knife under my pillow. I went to see if it was still there and it wasn't. After checking the footage, it shows shortly after she went back to sleep. She must have removed the knife that morning after waking up, which scared me and still scares me to think. How did she know it was there, and even how it got there? The next night I struggled to sleep. In fact, I didn't sleep because I could hear Layla walking around in the night. At one point I heard her standing right next to me for what felt like an eternity. I did my best not to open my eyes and pretend I was asleep. I'm not sure what time it was, but in the early hours of the morning, I fell asleep and woke up around 7 a.m. Layla wasn't in the bedroom, but I assumed she was downstairs making coffee. So, like every morning, I checked the footage. Like the night before, Layla went downstairs, grabbed a large kitchen knife and stood right over me. This time she lifted the knife up looking as if she was about to ram it into my throat. In the footage it looked like she was breathing very heavily, like she was about to have a panic attack. She lifted the knife up 4 times looking as if to commit murder. Thankfully she didn't. What's even scarier was she walked over to the laptop, directly into the camera lens, and shut it off. It frightens me so much to think that maybe she knew what she was doing the whole time, even with the camera rolling. That was the last time I saw Layla on footage or in person. She wasn't in the house and she was gone. Her clothes were still in my house, so I called the police and filed a missing persons report. Like I said, this story happened 2 years ago, and to this day, me nor the police have any idea where she went. The only thing she took with her was that large kitchen knife. Story number 2. My name is Jasper, and I'm 22 years old. This story happened to me 4 months ago. I lived in the Netherlands, and I had been single for about a year and a half, and wanted to try and meet someone. I decided to download the app Tinder. I was swiping left on most girls I came across, and swiping right on a few that I thought were interesting based on their information. I swiped right on a girl called Louisa, who was 20 years old. She studied at the University of Amsterdam, played field hockey, and enjoys camping. She was pretty cute and seemed cool. About 2 hours later, I got a match with Louisa, and a message saying hello with a smiley face. Happy and a little surprised, I replied with hello, how are you? We got to know each other for a little bit, and after about 2 days of talking, we arranged to meet up. She wanted to meet me in Rotterdam, near the Erasmus Bridge. I live in a town called Delft, so a train ride to Rotterdam wasn't too far at all. I think it was a Thursday night we arranged to meet up, and the plan was to grab dinner, have a walk around the dock, and then stay the night in a hotel, in separate rooms. I arrived in Rotterdam at 4:30 p.m. and got an Uber to the Erasmus Bridge, where we planned to meet. I messaged Louisa telling her I had arrived. She replied saying, "Cool, come around to the back of the hotel." Weird, but okay, I thought. I took a short walk around the nearby hotel, and at this point it started to rain. I saw Louisa and was happy to see her, but that good feeling didn't last as she got out of a car and walked towards me. The thing was, there was another guy in the car, in the driver's seat, and another car behind that one with tinted windows. They didn't look too friendly, but I thought maybe she just got a lift or something with her friends and would quickly move on from it. However, Louisa then told me that we were going to a party with her friends, assuming she meant the people in the cars. I said, "Oh, I thought we were going to grab dinner." She turned to look at the cars and then looked back at me. "Oh, yeah, we are, but I thought we would go to the party with my friends first." I had no idea who these people were inside the car, or how many there were for that matter. I was getting bad vibes from this whole situation, and even from Louisa. Something just wasn't right. She then said to at least meet her friends. I was skeptical, but I thought I could at least see what they were like. But all she did was walk me over to the first car and say, "That's Seb in the driver's seat." And she then listed out a few other names of people who were in the other car, mainly girls. I said hello to Seb. He didn't even respond to me. After that, Louisa said, "Shall we go to the party?" There was no way I was going to get into either one of those cars. I told Louisa no and that I was uncomfortable. At that point, Louisa looked irritated and she continued to try and persuade me to get in and go with her. I declined each time. She then looked at the second car and I guess made some kind of signal to them, because 4 large men got out of the car and quickly approached me. I immediately ran off back towards the front of the hotel near the bridge. After walking for a little bit, I went on Uber to try and get a ride back to the train station. Looking back now, I should have just called the police. I'm not really sure why I didn't. Anyway, I caught an Uber to come and pick me up, and I'm not kidding, it said Seb is on their way. After looking at the picture, it was the same Seb who had just tried to attack me with his gang. I quickly canceled it and jogged to the train station. It wasn't too far and I was very sure my adrenaline could get me there. Thankfully, I managed to get to my train and back home safely. As I was so focused on getting home, I never checked my Tinder. When I did, I saw that Louisa had messaged me. It said, "You should have just gotten the fucking car." I blocked and reported her. I knew if I did get in one of those cars, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't get out unharmed, if at all. I deleted my Tinder account after this incident. Story number 3. My name is Jessica. I'm 22 and this story happened 6 months ago. I frequently use Tinder, mainly to just talk with new people. I've gone on a few dates as well, although nothing came of it. I matched with a guy named Martin, who was 25 years old. We had been talking for about 4 days. We decided to meet up to go see a movie, as he suggested. It was about 7 p.m. when he picked me up outside a nearby restaurant. I didn't want him to know my home address just yet. We were driving towards the movie theater and just making small talk. At some point during our polite conversation, we drove past where the theater was. I asked him, isn't the theater that way? Theater? We're going to my place to watch a movie, he said. When he suggested to see a movie, I assumed he meant in the theater. A little skeptical, but I was still fine to go and watch a DVD with him, as so far everything seemed okay, and there weren't any red flags. We arrive at his house. Nothing special, just an average suburban home. We ended up watching the movie The Hills Have Eyes, while eating some Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Surprisingly, the date was going quite well to this point. Up until about halfway through the movie, I glanced at Martin and saw him looking at the TV, but like he wasn't concentrating. It was like he was daydreaming. I brushed it off. There was a gory part of the movie and it had been pretty silent, almost awkward for a little while. So I said, "God, can you imagine how much that must hurt?" I looked at Martin waiting for his response, and like before, he was just staring at the TV with a blank expression. I said I needed to use the bathroom and headed upstairs. Martin still didn't give me a single response. While I was upstairs, I did a little snooping around. There were 2 bedrooms. One looked to be a child's room, which confused me a little bit as Martin never mentioned that he had any siblings. Another room was an adult's room. It did not look like a 25-year-old man's bedroom, that's for sure. After snooping for a little bit longer, I looked at some photos that were on a nightstand in the hallway. It was a man and a woman with their daughter, and there weren't any of Martin. At that point, I got a very sick feeling that this wasn't even Martin's house, and Martin wasn't who he said he was. I planned on leaving as soon as I could. I was going to say I wasn't feeling well and needed to leave. However, when I returned downstairs, he wasn't on the couch. I actually couldn't see him anywhere. And also the DVD player and TV had been switched off, so it was just dark downstairs. "Martin?" I softly said out loud. I had no idea where he was. I saw this as my chance, and as quietly as I could snuck out through the front door. I turned around to take another look at the house, and in one of the upstairs rooms was Martin, standing in the dark, staring at me, with that empty expression. Had he been near me that whole time? Did he follow me upstairs? When I had this thought, it made my blood run cold. I ran down the street as fast as I could and got one of my friends to pick me up and give me a lift home. It's obvious he had broken into that house and was staying there. The next day is when the really strange part happened. I got a message from Martin saying, "I enjoyed our date. I hope we can do it again sometime soon," with a smiley face. It's like he had no recollection of what just happened, like he's 2 different people or something. I quickly blocked his account. I had no idea who Martin really is, or what he was doing in that house. The whole evening was weird as hell and one of the strangest things I've ever experienced. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. I want to thank everyone that's sending in their stories lately. I really appreciate it. It definitely helps keep our channel more fresh and up to date. Email me your true scary stories at thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. I'll leave a link to my email in the description box below as well. Till we meet again, stay sinful.